Today's America's Cup Racing is brought to you by Prada.
Life's lessons don't always come with a smile.
We've waited for 2 years to get out there and face off against these other guys properly.
For some, it's more of a learning cliff than curve.
One mistake turned into hundreds and hundreds of costly, hard-earned meters. The good news is if you're a British fan, you got a race boat at least right now.
It was fun today. We had much more control of the boat. We knew, obviously, going up against the Kiwis, they're going to be super fast.
Oh, the rudder, let's go. Look at the white water coming off the rudder.
The margins are quite small on these boats.
Oh, you heard the call. They were very close to that marker. They had to pull out.
Everyone is pushing it quite hard.
Hey! We're racing, right? Go, boys, go.
Well, Dean's quite a bit older than me, so when he says old school, I don't think he was mentioning me. Maybe he was just talking about himself.
There is no second, but neither is there a winner. Not yet, anyway. Kia ora manuhiri. Hello everybody and welcome to Auckland, New Zealand. Home waters for day 3 of the Prada 36th America's Cup World Series. Mother Nature has once again graced us with a lovely summer's day and the heat is on. By the end of the day we'll know who faces who in tomorrow's sudden death Christmas race. The theme of the races from day 2 is quite clear. Te Rehotai is fast, American Magic is slick, Britannia is back and street fighting pre-starts are on. The battle for the #1 seeding is going down to the wire. Both Emirates Team New Zealand and American Magic on 3 points. Rossa has a 50% record going into this critical day, while Ineos Team UK will have to settle for 4th. First up today, it's Rossa Prada Pirelli against Ineos Team UK.
1, stop.
And they are away in race number 9. Strong starts by both Britannia and Rossa.
Both of the time and distances to that starting line were exceptional in that start.
Right now, you've got Rossa to windward with the starboard tack advantage over Ineos Team UK. When they come out of this boundary, I expect Rossa's going to do straight into a face tack here and really shut the race down. And there you have it, straight on top of them. But maybe a touch too late. Ineos looked like they might sneak through to Lewis.
I thought it was a pretty impressive start from the Italians. I mean, I've just been watching them on this speed as well, just gradually increasing the gap away from Ineos. To me, they look like they have the edge.
Yeah, Shirley, from our perspective here, it looked like the bottom speeds of the two boats are very different in the tacks. Looks like Rossa were around 25 knots bottom speed in that tack, whereas Ineos Team UK were right down at 20 knots. And it's a long rebuild, you know, they're averaging 30 knots upwind in a straight line, but when you're dropping down to 10 knots below your peak speeds, it takes a long time to get back up there.
And Rossa Prada Pirelli tacking to confirm their entry into the top gate and complete the first leg of 6 in this race 9 of the America's Cup World Series.
Nice smooth rounding that one, wasn't it, Stephen?
It was almost flawless when you're looking at Francesco Bruni on that leeward side of the boat. Just you're like staring around, boys. Let's go, hey?
You be careful, Stephen. With all this terminology you're gaining about sailboat race, you're going to become a sailor. If you're, you better be careful there, son.
I was speaking to someone the other day about how sailing is evolving, and the one word they said. Foils.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Nathan, you foil in your spare time, right?
This guy led the way over here. I mean, of anybody in the world, how many times you win the Moth Worlds?
2 Moth World titles. The foil that you have here on one of these boats is just basically a scaled up version of what we had on the Moths 12 years ago.
Nathan, the Italians are sailing like a team that thinks they have a speed edge, and Britannia is sailing like a team searching for speed.
100% right. But the interesting thing is that whenever we look at the numbers when the boats are on a leg, the speed numbers are almost identical. But I think it's the manoeuvring and perhaps the angles that is really making the difference between these boats at the moment.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli heading towards the bottom gate for the first time, and a sizable lead on Ineos Team UK over 500 metres.
Oh boy!
Oh, splash down by Ineos Team UK.
They lost the rudder there, didn't they? I heard
they did. Yeah,
I heard Ben say that.
Okay. Bit of main on. 10 seconds, boys.
You guys see all the white water coming off the back of the rudder?
Yeah.
That's just complete loss of steerage, loss of grip. And boat basically just kept rounding up out of that jibe and going head to wind. Here they go, they're getting up on the floor now. They've still got one more jibe to go here. They haven't made it down to the gate. Here they go, rolling into another jibe.
I'm sure they'll analyze that, right? Because at one stage, you can see their wake. They splashed down about here. Are they faster just going slow speed down like that, or to try to get high speed, looping all the way back out and around and come back in?
10 seconds to a turner.
I can't tell you the answer to that.
The latter, it would suspect, as we see him do it right
Yeah.
now. And that lead has blown out.
We've had a course change out here, Stephen and Nathan. So instead of a 6-leg race finishing downwind, they're actually going to shorten the course and finish upwind, a 5-leg race.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli heading towards the top gate for the penultimate time now, because it's turned into a 5-leg race, and they will finish upwind.
Pitch down.
Oh, these guys are struggling at slow speeds.
Ineos Team UK just limping around. Are they going to get around that mark?
Must be getting lighter for this to be happening. You know, we saw the first lap, didn't touch the water the entire lap.
It's painful, isn't it, watching Ineos? I mean, something's just not right, whether it's hardware or the software mapping or what, but particularly in the manoeuvres, they lose so much speed.
You can see here, Ineos Team UK still not foiling, clearly struggling in this light air.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli wins race number 9 of the Prada America's Cup World Series, and it will be, let's be blunt, an enormous margin as they cross the finish line on the Waitemata Harbour. And the fans, you can understand, are overjoyed. Next up, it's the two top dogs, Emirates Team New Zealand against American Magic. Emirates Team New Zealand are away, as are American Magic.
Here's a big one, Nathan. These big split starts, right? All the way to the weather end, to the right-hand end of the starting line, all the way to the left-hand end of the starting line. The boundary protection doesn't really help you here, right? So you're going to have to, you tack, and you're going to have to make a move. So they can either cross or they're going to have to duck.
Shirley, what does it look like out there?
I'm excited for this cross, Nathan. It looks close.
And I guarantee you they get tacked on, because the aggression of Terry Hutchinson and Dean Barker has been very obvious through this entire campaign so far. They're not going to let you out of their sight.
I did speak to Terry Hutchinson this morning about how aggressive they've been sailing, and he said to me, well, you only have to win by a second. So I think that's going to be their plan for this event.
We know it's quick, but this American Magic boat has come out of the gates and really shown they are in for this game.
Only 12 seconds in this, Stephen, and that's a tight race. That's one puff at this stage right now. You know Terry right now, he wants to keep it close. He wants to keep a tight match race. He doesn't like this split. I guarantee you that.
Right now, if I was a tactician, I'd be looking at the software. Is it 2 jibes to the bottom, or is it going to be 3? And we're going to have an intersection here between 2 boats in the center of the course.
So the lead, not that much, 10 meters at best.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Nice pressure on the bow.
The gap was 12 seconds at the top gate. At the bottom gate, it's 3.
First time we've seen American Magic get eaten up a little bit downwind.
So Dean Barker decides to keep going. I think talked about it and then realized it was too late. If you do a rush tack at that moment, you're at risk of the other boat. Either you do a bad tack and you fall off the foils, or the other boat can punch through to leeward and take the starboard tack advantage.
What do you think? We're crossing. Okay, building now.
Could be a dial down here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I've got him. Coming behind us is 5. Coming up now. It's only option though, Andy.
So in the end, Emirates Team New Zealand decided to hold course, no dial down. Typically there you dial down the port tack boat to increase your lead.
It's got 20 to lay. It's a little more visually.
Emirates Team New Zealand heading towards that top gate.
Oh, soft in that corner, isn't it?
You've got to sort this out.
Voice of Dean Barker not happy. Not happy at all, is he? We've got to sort this out.
Splashdown American Magic lead change on leg 3, the completion of leg 3 in race number 10, the big race. Emirates Team New Zealand go to the front.
Well, as a fan of good, tight boat racing, that's a shame.
It was the first sign of real frustration from Dean Barker we've heard in this whole regatta so far, as Emirates Team New Zealand start to pull away from American Magic.
Standing by here, standing by.
So another example of one small error in these big AC75 falling monohulls can cost you distance and the result.
All good.
Boats are going very similar speeds around this race course, and I guess what the teams will be doing now is they'll be collecting the data. They'll be looking at their boat around the track. They'll be trying to work out, okay, all they can probably really do at this point is time the deltas between the 2 boats and think, if only we didn't have that error.
American Magic for the final time at the top gate, chasing Emirates Team New Zealand after splashing down earlier in the race. It has cost them dearly. Emirates Team New Zealand with almost a 1,000-metre lead on American Magic, and this is a monster win in the scale of things. When we talk about winning this Prada America's Cup World Series, they only need one more win. That's all they need as they cross the finish line. Emirates Team New Zealand do the job on American Magic. Now all they have to do is beat Rossa Prada Pirelli in the final race, and the World Series is theirs.
Nice effort, boys. It's just very frustrating. One, go.
Coming up after the break, the 2 nations that kicked it all off 170 years ago go head-to-head. It's American Magic against Ineos Team UK. Day 3 of the World Series, and today's racing will determine who faces who in tomorrow's sudden death Christmas race. Let's head to the starting box. It's Ineos Team UK against American Magic. 5 legs of racing. American Magic need this win to pressure Emirates Team New Zealand to get a result against Rossa in the last race. Here we go.
No problem on him. 2, 1. Mix him up.
It's interesting that Giles Scott was steering the boat in that pre-start.
This is the umpires. GBR, you still have a penalty.
Don't worry about that, Richard. It'll come off soon enough, mate.
That's got to be frustrating when you already know that the penalty's just going to disappear pretty much the moment you do your first tack. They're struggling to foil. They're almost foiling. No, I don't think they're going to take off there. And you can see their speed, 15 knots. They still have the penalty.
Yep, thanks,
but
GBR.
that's going to be clear, yeah. There you go, penalty clear now. American Magic mate the foiling tack and are going to just disappear into the distance right now.
Oh, it's hard to watch, isn't it, Stephen? I mean, you know, I mean, we're all well aware of tens of thousands of man-hours of design, of blood, sweat and tears to get to this point. It's really difficult to watch. And, you know, Ineos have a lot to do if they're going to get it together by the Prada Cup. This is difficult.
American Magic approaching the top mark for the first time. Remember, this will be the finish at the end of 5 legs, an upwind finish. And they look as smooth as silk. They'll want a clean run this time round.
We were speculating, and that's our job. We were speculating at the beginning of the broadcast as this lighter air may not be to their liking, but they don't even have their biggest jib on right now. And we saw them hang right in there with Emirates Team New Zealand in that last race, except for one small error. And they obviously look good in this race.
5 on the box. Set up. Okay, crossing head. I'm ready. Okay, 2, 1, board down and turning.
This is the umpires. USA boundary penalty, USA boundary penalty.
So these guys went over the boundary. We don't see the boundary on our screen right now, but they went over the boundary. They're going to have to slow down, take a little bit of a penalty. It's not like they have to go back behind the other boat, like off the starting line, but they have to slow down.
Confirmation it was marginal, but it was a penalty, and it was cleared pretty quickly as American Magic head down on their penultimate leg, the downward leg. This will be an upwind finish at the top gate, but Ineos Team UK still a mile away. And look at them, they're off the fours. The speeds drop real quick.
That's a full touchdown right there.
Let's follow this and see how long it takes them to get back up and foiling and what techniques they're using.
Look at their bearing way off.
Man, that hull is sticky. The foil will be flapped down, the water will be trying to cling to it, trying not to stall. It's almost out, almost out. Here we go, and she's off. And she's going to do 10 knots faster in about 5 seconds.
American Magic, representing the New York Yacht Club, will win race number 11 of the Prada America's Cup World Series. And their points tally will have them tied, and it's going to come down to the last race. But Patriot gets the job done on Ineos Team UK. Now, let's cross to the last race of the day. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team against Emirates Team New Zealand. 20 seconds to start of race 12. It will be 6 legs. 6 legs of this course.
Big lefty, you heard them say. They might not even make this pin end of the starting line. I think Emirates Team New Zealand's bearing off, and they're going to attack and go behind. Here comes a dial down. Watch this. Jimmy Spithill's going to hunt right at him and not let them tack. There he goes, back up and start the race. So well done by Spithill there. That was so classic.
Can I keep saying it? But Peter Burling is not in any way at all nailing any of these starts. He's putting himself in bad positions and letting the challengers just dominate him.
Showing 5 degree lefty, but I think it's attacking with this a bit. So. Just go for pressure. Yeah, reasonable pressure out this side of the boundary tag. Up in boundary tag. Up in two and down to the right. Yeah. So we may do that. Yes.
Discussion of the geometry of the race course and how many maneuvers they're going to have to do.
That is the top gate, and this is race 12.
So you notice they didn't tack on top of Emirates Team New Zealand because they're trying to do this in one maneuver and force Emirates Team New Zealand to do it in two. The only danger is the split. It's getting lighter.
Touchdown, Prada, is it?
No, they're okay, but it is getting lighter.
Just a little touch, and they're extending up this upwind. Extending to 240 meters.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli around the gate first, the top gate, leg 1 of 6 completed. The lead sitting around 243 meters.
Look at that, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli have made that jibe. That's probably the most important part now, is that if they can make the jibe stick and just get down the track where it seems to be windier at the bottom. Luna Rossa jibe, and
are they down?
Off the foils. So it's a take-off competition now. Who can get the thing up and foiling again?
Emirates Team New Zealand are back up on the foils. You can see the lead start to come down. On the left-hand side, Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli still stuck in the water. And look at that. Coming in, hunting. Emirates Team New Zealand take the lead in race 12. It's a race they need to win to secure the Prada America's Cup World Series.
Oh, see, they jibed up there in the upper corner, and then they used the entire race course to try to build off of it.
It's all change again. I hope you can hear me. Emirates Team New Zealand off the foils. A bad tack is all on.
Thank you, Shirley.
Spot on, Shirley. Look at that lead. It's come down again. Race on. Emirates Team New Zealand with a marginal lead on Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
So I guess you've got to think about, are we going boundary to boundary and minimising the number of tacks because they're the risk areas, or are you just tacking when you feel like you've got the best speed or the most amount of pressure?
Turning now, Pete, go now.
Whoa, it's close.
So attacked by Luna Rossa, and Emirates Team New Zealand tacked, essentially got across and tacked just up to weather. So they did cross, but oh, are they close to being off the foils again.
Why are they not tacking? What's going on here? Luna Rossa have got a split. This could be a big moment in this race.
That distance has come down. That lead's shrunk down pretty quickly too. It was 90.
Now remember, top right was soft on the first downwind. You know, that's where they all fell off the foils, and that's where Luna Rossa is heading right now.
Who has the advantage? Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli with a lead of 64 meters on Emirates Team New Zealand. But it will be Emirates Team New Zealand to get the gate first and head on down towards the finish. But we're not done with yet. 18 seconds the difference. That's all the lead was at the final gate. Emirates Team New Zealand flying towards the finish. The lead slowly extending on Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli, sitting at over 200 meters now.
Oh,
well, they've done it before.
Not the best jibe.
Both looked like they had a tough jibe.
Yeah, they both were. They were pointing at each other after the jibes. Here we go.
So jibing on the ley line. If they get this ley line and nail the jibe, they're coming into the finish on starboard tack with full right of way as well.
How close it has been, but what a way to finish the Prada America's Cup World Series. Emirates Team New Zealand cross the line and win the World Series against Rossa Prada Pirelli and take top seeding for the Christmas race tomorrow.
No, just carry on straight. Just foil out, that's where I look.
So they win the Prada America's Cup World Series. We talked to flight controller Blair Tuke. Congratulations, buddy. What were you thinking when both boats were off their foils?
Well, I was a bit more happy when they came off after us. So, yeah, a few nervous moments there at the top mark. Wind really got down to, in the sort of 6 knot region. And, yeah, we fell off the foils. But, yeah, awesome effort to get going again by the lads. And then, yeah, managed to keep it going for the rest of the race. So all good. But it has been an epic day's racing. It took a little while to get going with... oh, yeah, we got some champagne going on here, so we'll jump on.
Yep, go for it.
So the world gets its first taste of AC75 racing, and Emirates Team New Zealand gets its first taste of victory, taking out the Prada 36th America's Cup World Series. However, there will be no time to celebrate or savour the victory because all 4 teams will be back on the water tomorrow for the Christmas race. The action has only just begun.
Today's America's Cup Racing is brought to you from Auckland, New Zealand.